Urumarambam. Good afternoon. Baladu Yaba, Nyambri Wogalu, Nunawa Nyang. We speak in Nyambri Wogalu, Wiradjuri language. Yilingalangbu, Gibabongo Wugabu, Megabu, Deranilbang Maranyama. Ladies and gentlemen, young men, young women, distinguished guests, Vice-Chancellor, Chancellor, Nyarin Jamali Nyambri Gamal Wogalu, Walla Walla, Nunawa Mujigang Yanangbu Jandu. My respects to Nyambri Gamal Wogalu, Walla Walla, elders past and present. Nyari Njamarabu, Mujigango, Nurumbanjigo, Nini Erdu. My respects to all people, all elders from all parts of the country here today. Nyambri Nunawa, Maranyagai Banya, Nino Nunabangu Dara, Nyambri Nunawu people welcome you all to country. Yinjamara, Yinjamao Giri, Yinjamarabu, respecting, respected. Mambawara Naminyago, Wujagabinya, Wudadarego, Winingalago Baligo, looking to see, listening to hear, learning to understand. Yinjamara, respect. Yinjamara Magagiri Biringa, Bogongu Dirunda, Dara. Respect can be found in the journey of the Bogong moths in the mountains. Yinjamara Bala Walamwanga Dabu, Muran Matan Dabu, Banmayu Gurungambira. Respect can be found in the grinding stones and the carved trees made long ago in country. Yinjamara, Walla bit of da, bin a bit of water in Nyambri Nunawadara. Respect can be found in the rivers quietly moving through Nyambri Nunawa country. Muran Maginya Yinjamara, Muran Muru, Wooden bit of Dara. A respectful way of life cares for country. This welcome to country is made in the spirit of peace and a desire for harmony for all peoples of the modern ACT and surrounds. And our main aim as local custodians to establish an atmosphere of mutual respect through the acknowledgement of our ancestors and the recognition of our rights to declare our special place in the pre- and post-contact history of the region. We warmly welcome everyone now living and working on our ancestral country. Our signature is in the land, not just our DNA. And taking care of country is important to us all. Yinjamara Wirumbira Marando Gobo, Wirumbira Yando Gobo, Wirumbira Gira Gobo. Respect is taking responsibility for the now, the past and the present. Our people who through law and custom hold cultural knowledge and continue to maintain connection in a contemporary society. We continue to maintain deep respect for our culture and heritage, to look after our ancestral lands and waters. Look after the land and the land and the rivers will look after you. We want to see our children grow up in a society that acknowledges, respects and honours First Nation people in this country. The law of the land talks about giving respect and honour to all people in all parts of the country. Giving honour, being patient, being respectful and being politeful. And then people will respect you. I was born here at the centre of my ancestral country, at the old Canberra Hospital. God bless it. The name Canberra is derived from the name of our ancestral group and people, the Nyambri, the Cambri. Anglicised to the word Canberra. It means to sleep, to lie down, to camp in language. Caring for country is important to us all. We've cared for country since dawn of time, and here we are. The law of the land talks about giving respect and honour to all people. Yinjamara. Yinjamara mara mara, nyiga nyinya giramar maranya. Respect shapes us and lifts up the people. So in conclusion, I'd like to welcome everyone, Gurabari, welcome everyone to country. Wurraguri on behalf of our elders, our matriarchs, Dr. Auntie Matilda House, our families, we say Gurabari, welcome, and Wurraguri, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Truly great to have you welcome us here to Ngunnawal Ngambri, lands that have been part of human culture for literally tens of thousands of years, and we are truly honored to be able to work and meet here today on Ngunnawal Ngambri land, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. Friends, the new year begins. The preceding one ends, and I have to say it's a relief because, let's face it, last year was a year from hell. First there was smoke, then there was hail, then a pandemic, followed by, in my homeland, a political division that I think surprised certainly me as an American, but I'm sure most of you. Fire, ice, contagion, anarchy. I'm certain there's a chapter in the Old Testament written about it, or certainly some 1960s folk songs that I remember listening to from my parents. These things forced big changes upon us. We have had to make the biggest cuts ever to our spending and our staff budgets by an order of magnitude. Australia's universities combined lost more than $2 billion last year, and now, in what appears to be an ongoing saga, international students will not be returning in large numbers this year, unfortunately. We're doing our best to get them back, and again, billions more will be likely lost across the sector. It reminds us that black swan events can and do happen, and that when they do, often all that's possible is to fall back as best we can on our wits and our values and respond as we can according to our values. We have been forced to make some incredibly hard decisions last year, and we're still having to make them. We have shed staff, we've closed research projects and courses, and I do feel terribly for those who have left or have been affected, as we all do. But all times we have endeavored to be supportive of our staff and our students, and will continue to do so, because that is a core value. But I think it's time to reflect that we do have a public mission to pursue, and as a result of our changes, we now have a university that is placed to face the future. But it's time to draw a line under 2020 and look ahead. So today I want to give you an idea of what our great institution can be in 2025. Our duty at this time is bigger than we often think. As Australia's national university, situated here in Canberra, the capital, we have a vital role to play in the country's future. Nothing less than to protect and nurture and promote our democracy. We live in an era of increasingly unsustainable polarization. I have seen things in the last year that I never thought I would see. Extreme forms of populism, at times and in places approaching fascism, have gained a dangerous foothold in our world, the world we know. They are leading to violence and autocracy, besieged parliaments and mass arrests, trade wars, and fears for future peace. Perhaps, most seriously, populism is stopping us all from addressing what is perhaps the most existential problem of all, climate change. We are entering an era when populism will have severe consequences for the entire planet. It has to be combated. To think it will just go away is to willfully ignore the lessons of history. We have to ask ourselves, who currently is looking after the health of our democracy? Democracy's traditional defenders have been weakened and are often under multiple pressures here and abroad. Everywhere its defenders are under siege: the public service, the press, the political class. All are trying to grapple with the effects of profound social and technological change. But they're failing. Their standing has been weakened. Of the great institutions that have traditionally compromised the ramparts of Australian democracy, only the universities have retained the public's trust. And that's from our own research here at ANU. This gives us a special responsibility right now to show leadership. Why? Because the jobs of university is the pursuit of truth. And without truth, democracy cannot function and cannot adequately address the great problems facing our world. Facts are being altered. News is being labeled fake. Fake news is being labeled as fact. But the problem goes deeper. The biggest problem in the world today, I see, is being the undermining of the Enlightenment belief in the primacy of truth. Without agreement about the truth, we don't debate, we fight. Our own motto, Naturam primum cognoscere rerum, first, know the nature of things, makes what is essentially the same point. We need to know the true nature of things. We need to know the truth, because from the truth flows progress. Or as we have seen, from lies flow trouble. Because they exist to establish what is true, our universities are needed like never before. And the universities of the world are stepping up and fulfilling their responsibility to champion the truth. And if I really reflect on the last year, we have done it brilliantly. The proof is in the pudding against, for example, the COVID-19 pandemic. Universities led public health policy. They identified and understood the COVID-19 virus, and they have helped create the vaccines that will defeat it. The speed with which the world's universities did these things, if you think about it, is astonishing. Health policy leaders emerged within days. Disease specialists were achieving successes within weeks. Scientists developed vaccines within just 9 months that are actually being delivered. But it took decades of medical training and scientific research to make these lightning-fast successes possible, and we cannot forget that. ANU itself is proud of the direct role we have played. 4 of the nation's most senior public health officials, we all know them by name now, Professor Paul Kelly, Dr. Nick Coatsworth, Professor Michael Kidd, and Professor Brendan Murphy, are all valued members of our community. At the height of the crisis, dozens more of our staff served the country and the ACT in important public health roles. We loaned them to the nation without charge as part of our civic duty. The implications of all this are, of course, more profound still. Because in fighting the pandemic, academics have not only enhanced the reputation of universities once again, we have enhanced the reputation of science, the crucial discipline that needs to retain and in some places regain the world's trust if we are to succeed in tackling the big issues facing humanity, for example, climate change, but many other things. And I do think universities are continually proving their worth. After all, what could be a better return for the world's investment in universities than saving literally millions of lives? What could be a better return for investment in ANU than helping keep our territory COVID-free for over 7 months? And I'd knock on wood. Thanks in part to the work of universities, Australia has so far escaped the full catastrophe of this disease, not by accident, but by design. So with so much at stake, I want to outline 4 clear goals for the ANU for the year 2025. Now, of course, these will not be the only goals we will pursue, but I think they illustrate where the university is heading. Our first goal, because I think this is where universities start, is to deliver a student experience equal to the world's best. And we can do this if we give it sufficient priority. Now, 2020 played havoc with our university teaching and that experience we promised last year. It forced us to innovate and to find new ways to teach. It forced us to learn and collaborate virtually, and we learned a lot in the process. The temptation might be, for some places and people, to use these learnings to do things cheaper, make it easier, but not better, neglecting quality. Let's face it, for me as Vice-Chancellor, it would be easy to make the university into an online supermarket of inexpensively delivered courses and divert the savings into research or our other projects. But my response to that is that will happen over my dead body. Because the very last thing we must do at this time, when universities must display moral leadership, is to disillusion and disappoint our students, our teachers, their families, and our supporters. We can't be cynical. There's a better alternative, and it begins with teaching students better and more intensively on our campus, but also as well off. We have learned a lot. Over the last 12 months, I have watched with growing admiration as our students kept on learning without the benefits of being on site, with the help of their teachers. And they did it brilliantly. It wasn't easy, it wasn't perfect, but we have adapted and we have succeeded academically in a sudden, very different learning environment. And we should be proud of ourselves. And I know it's left a bad taste in many of our mouths, but we did it. Our students now want to come back to campus. That's the overlanding. It's not like, oh, we're going to keep doing this. They want to come back. And we, as faculty and members of our community, have a moral obligation to ensure they return to the best campus experience we can provide. We need to seize the moment and begin to make our campus an even better place to learn. We need our teachers to be more than just people who stand in front of the lecture hall, as I'm doing right now, or before a video camera. We need them to connect with our students in richer ways. And this might include fewer lectures, but the ones that we do deliver will be memorable, more memorable, and sophisticated, perhaps utilizing technology. Teaching ultimately needs to be an exchange of ideas between students and teachers, not just people up talking. But the lecture need not be dead, nor, though, should it be a crutch for poor pedagogy. Whatever the answer is to reaching our students, I'm certain we will all do a better job than we have done in the past. So as we seek to improve our student experience, I want everyone in the university to ask themselves, what was the standout experience you can remember from your own university days? What made it stand out? What provided the wow factor that made it stand out? I guess I think of it as what made it feel, for example, in a classroom, like actually going to the Pink Floyd concert rather than just listening to Dark Side on the Moon on my CD player. Because there's a difference. And I want us to all think, how do we replicate that great experience? I think we all want to give back what we got. So let's give back the best. How do we make learning into a more intensive on-campus experience? It's not just the classroom. How do we draw students into the campus and encourage them to stay, not because we tell them or force them to, but because they really want to and they're excited? What I want to avoid is the idea that a university is something you just squeeze in between your second and third part-time job to tick off the units necessary to graduate to get a piece of paper. Learning at university should not be about ticking boxes. It should be about thinking. And it's not just about accumulating units. It's about being able to solve problems with whatever challenges life throws at you in the future. More than that, it needs to be about getting an education, and an education in all things, including life. Little things can make a big difference. One great example that's grabbed my attention is, for example, a summer scholar placement program at the Australian War Memorial, which gives postgraduates the chance to work alongside professional historians to take part in uncovering the history of conflicts we have faced. Now, this is just one example of the opportunities available to our students studying in the national capital, but we should all be looking so that each of our students gets an opportunity like that. And I talked about the democracy. Understanding our history is how we underpin the democracy, so it helps on that front as well. So that's our first goal for 2025, improving the university experience, and every single person in every part of the university can help on that. And just think about what you want if you were in our students' shoes. Our second goal is, of course, to conduct world-leading research that we often use to transform society. Such work will obviously require excellence, and this will mean concentrating for us on those areas of research where we will be among the nation's and the world's best. Simple as that. But we also have to make sure that we can address directly the national need. 2020 showed us the value of patiently acquired expertise. In a crisis, you need calm voices responding with world-leading expertise to provide the ideas. And these experts are useful because they know what will work. That's what our experts did in 2020 in response to COVID-19, but also the deadly bushfires. When looking to the future, you don't know as a society what you're going to need. And there are no shortcuts to expertise. And gaining that expertise won't just allow us to react better to threats emerging and unknown, but it'll also allow us to grasp the opportunities. Here in Australia, we are on our way at the ANU to help create at least, low-cost green power and steel. Building new quantum devices that you couldn't even, and I say this as a physicist, conceive of just a few years ago. Inventing self-repairing materials that can actively react to the outside world. And employing precision agriculture that will help sustainably feed the world's population. These are important things. These are the things the world needs if it's going to prosper over the next 50 years, and we're doing them. This sort of excellent academic work is never easy. It takes energy and commitment, and it often goes unheralded, especially in the early days when you're just trying to figure out the nature of things. But that does not make it unimportant, and we need to unashamedly stand by that work. What all this shows is that investing in long-term research and training, that is itself excellent, is not an indulgence. It's a social and economic necessity. And this makes investment in universities one of the most prudent things that a society can do. In a world as turbulent as ours, would you actually want to be doing something else? Here at ANU, much crucial long-term research is meeting with success. In October last year, Dr. Marta Yebra and Professor Rob Mahoney launched the ANU Optus Bushfire Research Center of Excellence with the very practical goal of developing a revolutionary national system to detect fires as soon as they start and then put them out within minutes. It's the fruit of 25 years of research across the entire university, including my own very abstract area of astronomy. On a warming continent, more fires are going to start, and this means we're going to have to figure out ways to stop them before they become full-scale bushfires. It means finding the bushfires faster, more accurately, and then deploying a rapid response to prevent disaster. And we just need to be practical. If Canberrans can deliver coffee via drones, do it now here, people, One would think we can use drones to, for example, deliver water to a nearby fire. This type of work is being undertaken by the new ANU Institute for Climate, Energy, and Disaster Solutions, led by Professor Mark Howden. So that consolidates a number of institutes that we've had. And so that is a strong new initiative for the years to come. Another huge but surely obtainable ambition is to close the gap in life expectancy between Indigenous and other Australians. But you need to know the nature of things to do it. In January just past, Professor Ray Lovett and Dr. Katie Thurber published research that shows that smoking causes half of all deaths of First Nations adults aged over 45 and 37% of First Nations deaths at any age. Their findings are a wake-up call to our public health authorities to act. But there's a solution embedded in that research. We need to act. Another piece of research I like is by Dr. Tegan Cruz, who has found that loneliness can be as harmful to our health as heavy smoking, and that being connected to others is, on average, 4 times stronger than financial security in predicting good health for older people. What could be more relevant right now, given the COVID-19 pandemic? But it also tells us it's a good reason to get us all back here on campus, our students and staff. You know, when people often ask me, and they do this a lot, what does the public get back from spending money on the university? We have to have a good answer. Too often, we answer poorly. We express it in language that people outside our own community don't get, and even sometimes we don't understand our own answers. For me, I think we can state it incredibly simply. By discovering the true nature of things, our work protects our land, it saves our lives, creates higher level of human happiness and well-being. That is ultimately what we are doing. It also creates economic activity, prosperity, and jobs, which is why one of our targets for 2025 is going to be establishing at least one unicorn. That is a company worth over $1 billion. We, of course, in the process will create a whole bunch of smaller companies worth, presumably, billions of dollars also. It's a way we can help Australia, can help our own community, help ourselves, help our students. Because these companies, of course, change the world as well. Think of Instacluster, founded here in Canberra in 2013 by Ben Bromhead and an undergraduate at the time, Adam Zegelin, to help companies unlock the power of open source technologies. This company is now worth many hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a great example of what's possible. And there's going to be many more stories like that coming. What I've just said perfectly illustrates why our third goal for 2025 must be a renewed compact between ANU as the national university and the Australian government. As Australia's national university, we've always had a special role in nation building, right back to 1946. And that role is recognized by the special grants we receive. But they are needed like never before now, and we need to deliver. Given the huge and increasing existential challenges facing our country, challenges like protecting our environment, redefining Australia's place in our fast-changing region, modernizing our economy, and improving our social policy. These are challenges that only knowledge, research, and intellectual sophistication can help tackle successfully. So we are asking the Australian government to make us a national partner in the creation of a better future of our nation. And we, of course, need help in finding the resources to do the work. But there is so much great research we can do for the national benefit, and we need to make sure we reach our hands out to help the nation. In the increasingly fraught world and region we inhabit, and increasingly dangerous climate we live in, Australia's national university and its national government are our allies. They have to be. The old tensions between the Australian polity and the Australian Academy must now be recognized as an indulgence belonging to less dangerous times. The consequences of university knowledge and political leadership not working together are now simply too high. They're actually existential for our democracy. But put knowledge and enlightened government together, and the possibilities are limitless. The nation can be transformed. Prosperity can reign. The fourth goal for 2025 is crucial. It's crucial for us. To help transform the nation, we must get the very best out of our people. That's what universities are here for. This means becoming a more equitable and inclusive university of choice. We have to make ANU one of the best places in the world at which to work and study if we are going to attract the best teachers, the best researchers, the students, and the support staff, and make them have the being empowered to go out and do what they're capable of. Working at ANU isn't just a job. It's a career, and in fact, it's much more than that. I want it really to be a calling for most of us. Now, we're not there yet, and we have a lot to do to get there. By 2025, we needed to have created a workplace that leads Australia in the modern conditions it offers its staff, like providing a more flexible work environment. We're getting used to that. And we did that last year by allowing full-time staff to work 25 hours per week so that they could look after their loved ones during the pandemic. And we did that not just to be nice, but we did it because we know ultimately we would be more productive if we did that. Flexibility done well means more productivity, not less. And we need to ensure our staff profile reflects the nation more closely, with stronger representation of women, but also First Nations people and other underrepresented groups. And those people can come around our country, but they can also come around the region and the world. As your Vice-Chancellor, I realize I cannot match the financial packages being thrown about across some parts of the academic sector. But what I can do, and I'm pretty confident of this, is I can make this a better place to work than any of them. By keeping this university on a human scale, and a much more human scale than our competitors, by ensuring it's a respectful as well as a lively place to work, by offering you the expectation that the work you do will be relevant to society and noticed by the political leaders and national policymakers across the lake. That's something I can do that no one else can. Becoming that better place will be a major competitive advantage for us, no matter what happens. It's also a moral duty. It requires us to become a socially equitable place, making our student body better reflect the nation as well. Means we need to do a lot more to get students from lower socioeconomic families and First Nations backgrounds studying with us. And that means lending out a hand, a personal touch by each of us. Our wonderful Cambry scholarships within the First Nation space have a big role to play. They are doing already just what we intended them to do, supporting students who otherwise would find studying here at ANU in the national capital extremely difficult. And we have a whole range of new scholars coming in this year, which I'm very excited about. One of our Cambry students, Hunter, is a Noongar man from working-class Kiwana in Western Australia. He's from a family without a history of university entrance. He's now studying to be a criminologist because he wants to go and help people in the community he calls home. Another is Alid, son of a single mother in Bunbury in Western Australia, who has had to take care of his siblings after his mother became ill. He's now here studying music on this way of his dream job of being a major music producer. We bring people across the nation and help their dreams come true by actually empowering them to be what they can be. But it is only by truly reflecting our society and not just carving out who we already are that we can be sure to attract the best intellects with the widest set of interests and send highly educated and trained people to every corner of our nation, of our region, and of the world. So we've got a lot to do, but I know we can do it. And I've set out some directions here today, but now I want your input. How do we embrace excellence in research? What research goals should we adopt? How do we teach and learn in better ways and employ technology in the right ways, not the wrong one? I think I see Paul there, who we've done a lot of teaching. Paul's taught me almost everything I know about how to be a better teacher. How do we become an employer of choice? How do we become the university the nation needs and build the relationship between the academy and the polity that will get things moving? We have to do that. Australia needs us to do it. This August marks our 75th year and the launch of our next strategic plan. Its direction will underpin our work, our research, and our priorities. All of us must own it, because we're going to have to focus. And that means all of us must have a say in it. Tomorrow, we will officially open our consultations, and I want every person at ANU to participate. You can attend forums, you can submit written feedback, participate in focus groups, or complete the survey, or do it all. There are many ways to share your perspective. The more of us who participate, the stronger the plan will be, because ultimately, universities are the people in it. So we've all gone through a hell of a year, and there are no doubt going to be more tough times ahead. We will all need to do our part by stepping up to the plate and doing our best. That's all I ask you to do, is to do your best. But there has never been a more important time to be part of this community. It really is back to 1946. So, I am now going to hand over to our Chancellor in Perth. Julie had hoped to come to ANU, but unfortunately the lockdown in Perth has not made that very easy. But Julie,
thank you, Vice-Chancellor, for your inspiring leadership of our great university. Staff and friends, I join you from Perth, the land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and I thank Paul Howes for his warm welcome to country, for us all, wherever we are located. The global COVID pandemic continues to be disruptive. I'm so disappointed that I'm not able to join you in Llewellyn Hall. My flight was booked as I was planning to be in Canberra for the first time in nearly 12 months. However, there are still border restrictions in place that mean we're not yet able to return to normalcy. Without doubt, the world has changed significantly since I was last in Canberra in February 2020 for this very event. And yet, the mission of our university, our goals and our purpose remain unchanged. This is our 75th anniversary year, a time to reflect on our remarkable history while also looking to our future. ANU was established under an Act of Federal Parliament in 1946 in the aftermath of the dark days of the Second World War. Then Minister in charge of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, John Dedman, told Parliament that the functions of Australia's proposed national university were simple: to encourage and provide facilities for research and study, both generally and in relation to subjects of national importance, to provide facilities for university education for persons who elect to avail themselves of those facilities and are eligible to do so, and third, to award and confer degrees and diplomas. Now, I agree with Mr Dedman that our purpose, as expressed in legislation, is relatively uncomplicated. It is how we deliver as the first and only national university that is complex. Over the past 75 years, ANU has been at the forefront of research, discovery and education to help our nation and our region address a myriad of challenges. For a nation of a relatively small population, we have much talent and expertise, and we offer something unique for our students, our government and the region. We have a high record of achievement. For example, we count 6 Nobel Prize winners among our staff and alumni, 4 of whom were recognised for work done on our campus, including the work of the Vice-Chancellor. This is more than any other Australian university, and almost all of them combined. Hashtag just saying. Under the Hawke government, for example, access to education was reformed by ANU's Professor Bruce Chapman with the establishment of the Higher Education Contribution Scheme model, which aimed to ensure that higher education was accessible and sustainable. Our alumni community of more than 110,000 around the world are doing truly extraordinary things, from Prime Ministers and Cabinet Ministers to entrepreneurs and innovators, researchers and trailblazers of change. Our alumni represent ANU on the world stage, and they are a credit to this great institution. Over the past 12 months, we've continued to fulfil our mandate on matters of national importance that require our expertise and facilities. In our College of Engineering and Computer Sciences, for example, we have the 3A Institute, where we have established one of the world's leading master's programs. This new discipline takes people from many and varied backgrounds to analyse how artificial intelligence can and will interact with our lives and seek to ensure that it's for the betterment of humankind. In the humanities, ANU is leading the teaching of Indigenous languages that are core to our nation's history and the stories of our First Nations people. It's an important part of our national efforts in reconciliation that there is broader community understanding of the stories and culture that survived 60,000 years before European settlement. Establishment of the First Nations portfolio, headed by our dear colleague Peter Yu, will support the national reconciliation conversation, grounded in evidence and research, the ANU way. After the bushfires of early 2020 and the fires that raged more recently just a few kilometres from our ANU office here in Perth, climate change must remain an important focus. The Vice-Chancellor has addressed the 2021 United Nations Climate Adaptation Summit about the value of science in addressing one of the largest challenges facing humanity. And we have dedicated researchers who are looking at every facet of life through this lens. The newly established Climate Institute brings together expertise in climate science, renewable energy, and disaster risk mitigation. Working under the leadership of Professor Mark Howden, we will deliver on the commitment for ANU to meet the net zero carbon goal by 2025 and by 2030 commit to below zero emissions, making ANU a carbon sink rather than carbon source. This will involve thinking about new ways of developing green energy and technology. It'll also be about us all, every person on our campus, making decisions about the world in which we want to live and the world we'll leave for future generations. Dr. Lachlan Blackhall, an ANU Entrepreneurial Fellow, has been working on a battery storage and grid integration program. And one of the projects he and his team is working on is transforming electric vehicles into sustainable power sources for our energy grids. So we must continue to strive to be at the forefront of innovation, disruption and change. My appointment as the 13th but first female Chancellor of ANU was seen as a significant milestone, as it perhaps better reflected the diversity of the ANU community, as we are and as we strive to be. Like all organisations, we have some way to go to fully reflect the broader Australian community that we serve. In 2019, ANU achieved an Athena Swan Bronze Award, marking our commitment to gender equality. Our Vice-Chancellor is a male champion for change and is committed to reforming policies to provide greater flexibility and opportunity to staff and students. These changes include a commitment to parental leave of 26 weeks for either parent to ensure family and career can go hand in hand. At the time, ANU was only one of 5 employers in Australia to undertake such sweeping reforms. And this year we'll work towards achieving our Silver Award, which reflects a challenging, although appropriate level of ambition. The way universities contribute to the world should be clear. We have the knowledge, the education and the people to make change and to encourage others to think differently in the interests of making a better world. During the year, you'll each be asked to contribute to ANU 2025, our next strategic plan, which will be launched on our 75th anniversary in August. Council will endorse this strategy. However, it will be your ideas and expertise and passion that will shape the future priorities of ANU. Yes, we are in times of great challenge, but that also means times of great opportunity. It's how we respond to change and developments that will determine our future level of success. We have the will, and the power to change the world for the better. And this university will continue to help lead and shape this change. We were created by our national government to be at the forefront of research, discovery and education. In this, our 75th year, we commit anew to our mission while continuing to provide the best on-campus experience and the highest quality teaching for the best and brightest students who have the opportunity to take up this unique experience that only the Australian National University can offer. Back to you, Brian.
Thank you, Julie. And I think it's important for people to realize, since we haven't had a chance to have Julie on our campus, I don't think you've all had a chance to understand just how much she's doing from Perth for the university. And we will continue to see the fruits of her labors this year and the years to come. But it is worth acknowledging it because she is working an incredible amount on behalf of the university, and she's a true pleasure for me to work with. So that now concludes the 2021 State of the University Address. I do thank everyone for joining us here today, either in person or online. But I want us to reflect on the ambition of this university and the importance of it, and I encourage each of you to go out and change your little part of the world, and collectively we will change the world. Thank you for your support. Cheers.